listening to Not Know the TV podcast, a podcast about television. Normally I'd say what date this is or what episode it is, but those don't apply because I don't know what times it's going to go out, and this does not have an actual number to it. Welcome, my name's Drew Koenig. With me this week is my friend Robyn Jeffrey from the Afictionados podcast network. Robyn, hi.
Good day.
Good day. Short, sweet, to the point. I love it.
Yes. Hi, I'm Robyn. Is this where I introduce myself? Hi, yes. I'm Robyn. Now I have to remember what my bio is in the hundreds of episodes I've ever put out of my own podcast. What do I even say? My name is Robyn Jeffrey. I'm a 27-year-old actor and artist. I like brooding anti-heroes, feminist agendas, and I remember way too many details that no one else cares about. And that's my thing.
Excellent. We know it. We love it.
Yeah.
As I say, you love to see it.
So true.
So true. So we're here in this episode to talk about I guess a web series is the best way to describe it. Dimension 20.
Right. It is technically on a streaming platform, so I feel like...
Right.
I don't know what it counts as.
It's in a very
it's on IMDb. I'm not sure.
Yeah. Yeah, it's in a very interesting gray area, I think. Mm-hmm. Yes, being a web series. Yes, being a game show. It's a lot of different things. Like a lot of it's long.
I think that it's like official genre title is TTRPG actual play show.
This is a show that it started out on College Humor.
Yes,
if I remember correctly.
Yes, it is the company of College Humor. It's like what College Humor became, but it is what once was College Humor. Yes.
Yes, and then it kind of set out to be Dropout TV.
Thing. Yes.
And this is hosted by Brendan Lee Mulligan, and as Robyn said, it is an actual play Dungeons and Dragons. Although I imagine it will probably steer away from that in the future, given
who knows
everything with the OGL stuff.
Yeah.
Which is very complicated, and we probably don't have time to get into it. But I want to disclaimer this by saying I have never played Dungeons and Dragons in my life, and also I haven't seen Critical Role, which is like the biggest comparison that someone could have to Dimension 20.
Yeah.
So I'm coming into this with not a lot to kind of compare and contrast the
that's okay because
high bar
I'm
quality
here.
of what Dimension 20 has, you know?
Yes.
So from my perspective, this is very good. This is a very excellent series.
Absolutely.
I think they are currently on their 16th season. With
that sounds
Never
about right.
After. Yeah, I think that's correct. Look that up. Yep, 16 seasons. And this started back in 2018, I believe. And they've
that sounds right as well.
Yeah, and they've been consistently putting out.
I didn't start watching it until the beginning of 2021. I had played a little bit of simplified versions of D&D during the pandemic in 2020. But I didn't start watching and really understanding the mechanics and potential that the game had for storytelling until I started watching Dimension 20 in either late February or early March of 2021. So it's almost my 2-year anniversary. And I have been hyper fixated ever since. Yes. I have played many campaigns. I have DM'd campaigns, and I've watched every single season of Dimension 20, and I am caught up on campaign 3 of Critical Role, and so I feel qualified to be here. Thanks.
Okay, cool. Yeah. The only other Dimension 20 adjacent thing I've really watched is Legend of Vox Machina, which I've talked about on this podcast before. But that's kind of, and even then, that's very straight, just narrative storytelling.
Right. It's all of the decisions and dice rolls. You're not seeing those.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
just what ended up happening.
Yeah.
But that's always cool because like you get to watch it and you get to like see like the bad dice roll in action, you know? Like sometimes when I'm watching TV shows, I like just do that in my head. So like for example, recently we started season 4 on our Lost podcast, and Kate like hugs Jack and steals the sat phone from him at the beginning of season 4, and I was like, and there is your successful contested sleight of hand roll.
Yes.
There it is, you know?
There it is, yeah.
That's it. Like, and literally at the end of like season 4 of Stranger Things as well, when they're having like the big fight and everything, I like was watching Hopper fight the Demogorgon with that sword, and I was just like, I can like name the exact rolls that he's getting. You know, like it was just really cool. Like you could really see it in that moment. I do that while I watch shows now.
No, yeah. There's an episode of Vox Machina where I literally went, well, that was a failed death save.
And like Vox Machina is fun because you like know that it was that, but like I'm out here doing it to shows that absolutely were not that, and sometimes even real life. Like sometimes I'll like pump myself up and be like, "All right, guys, let's go get in for this persuasion check. Come on," to myself.
Right.
Like, I don't know. Like I said, I've been hyperfixated for almost 2 years, and that's just my life now.
Right. Yeah. And I think back in 2021, I'd seen you tweeting about it, and I'd also seen a bunch of other people talking about it online. And I watched I watched the first season of Fantasy High.
Yeah.
At the end of 2021, because like there's that just with like how I interact with TV, there's like that weird gap from like the end of the year to like the beginning of the year where like I can just like watch things and I don't have to feel bad because I'm not like watching things I should be watching, you know, because I watch 70 to 80 TV shows a year. So like there's like a gap in like November to December, or November to like January, where I'm like, okay, I can just watch a thing now.
Yeah.
So I did that with Fantasy High.
Yeah, I just feel like I jumped so far into it, and the main reason is because like I have a hard time like watching like new drama shows because I'm like, I don't want to feel stressed. Like I just tell me what happens so that I don't have to feel like, and that's why I rewatch a lot of things because I'm like, I already know what's gonna happen. And with this, it's like even though I didn't know what was gonna happen, all I'm doing is watching like a bunch of friends have a nice time and to play a fun game together. And even when like sad and scary things are happening, everyone like consented to be there, and everyone like is, if we're crying at the table, it's because like we're all sharing a beautiful moment of like emotion and like just incredible storytelling and collaborative storytelling together here at this table. And like so even when sad things are happening, I know that everybody's still having fun, and it just like is such a balm to the soul.
Right. Yes. But so I watched Fantasy High that first season. And like I super enjoyed it. But it was on YouTube.
Yeah.
And YouTube just has like it has like the full season of Fantasy High freshman year, I guess it's called.
Yep.
Full on there, and then it has like the first episode of each other season.
Yes. However, the it also has the full first season of Unsleeping City and the full season of Escape from the Bloodkeep on YouTube. Fun fact.
Oh, does it?
Yes.
Okay. I don't know if that was uploaded since like I watched it, or I don't know.
Could be.
But could be. But like I went there and I was like, well, fuck. You're not getting my money today, Mulligan. Not today, Mulligan.
Which is the total opposite of me. I think I got like 10 episodes of Fantasy High, and then that's when I was watching it on YouTube, that's when they started bleeping the the swears, and I could not handle it because they swear quite a lot, and so it was like just constant beeping, and I was like, all right, Mulligan, you got my money. And so I immediately like I was like, can I spend $60 on this? And it was like the best $60 I had ever spent because I was like, this is giving me endless joy. There's so much content, and I like parasocial relationships. I don't care. These are my best friends. I want to see my best friends. I'll give you $60 for a full year. you know what? It's like, I don't want to give them more money than that because I don't have that much money, but like, it's worth so much more money to me than that. It truly is.
But so, like, I set it aside for like it was like a full year. I was just like, well, that's just a thing that exists now. And I could tell, like, you were like in the background of my mind, just being like, Drew, you gonna watch more? You gonna watch more, Drew?
You know it's gonna make you happy. You know it's the best thing ever, right?
What are you doing, Drew? Each tweet I'd see from you is just like, Drew, you gonna watch? You gonna watch?
Yeah.
What we did? Yeah. The past 4 months, I think I started back in like November. And it's just been a straight shot of Dimension 20 since then.
100%. It's like, it's addictive because I'm just feeling happiness the whole time. I'm just smiling because all my friends are smiling and laughing.
Yes, yeah. So I've seen, just to go through it, I've seen both seasons of Fantasy High. I've seen both seasons of Unsleeping City. I've watched Crown of Candy. Court of Fame Flowers, The Seven, Misfits and Magic, and a Star Trek Odyssey, and what?
Star Trek? You just got called out, man. You just got called out, dude. This, of course, being a gender-neutral term.
Yes, I appreciate that.
Starstruck Odyssey.
Never mind. Yeah. Starstruck Odyssey.
You fully said Star Trek.
Maybe
Never After now.
Yeah, and I've watched Never After. I haven't watched this week's episode, but I've caught up on everything up to that point.
Which season was your favorite?
I mean, my favorite has to be just still like Fantasy High season 1.
Yeah. Oh,
like that's just such a high.
I tweeted this a couple, like, I think it was maybe yesterday, but at least when we're recording this, but recently. And I was just like, I'm still every day trying to capture the feeling that I felt like 20 minutes into the first time I ever watched Fantasy High. Like, I literally was like, this is going to change my life. You know, when you can start feeling like a new obsession, you know? And you're just like, I'm like, oh yeah, this is it. This is the new one. And like, I felt like just an air of like potential and excitement. And every time I like click on Dropout to go watch the new episode of Dimension 20, I see the thumbnail for that first episode and I get like a little thrill in my like heart. And I'm just like, oh, remember those good times. And yeah, I've rewatched it once since then. And then my favorite season is Unsleeping City season 1. I think that season was perfectly just absolutely perfectly curated. Like, all the characters are incredible. It's like every one of those characters, almost every single one, is like my favorite character of whoever's playing them. And like there was like story for like each of the characters perfectly, and it ended in such a beautiful way. Like, I think that Unsleeping City season 1 is like a perfect campaign of D&D.
Yes, no, it's an excellent campaign.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's do this. How would you rank the seasons?
Okay. I think that just by the virtue of the Intrepid Heroes, which is the main cast, and by virtue of those seasons being longer, I put and also the Intrepid Heroes being my best friends in the whole world. Right. I always rank those higher. So my personal favorite seasons, my number 1 is Unsleeping City season 1, and then it probably goes Crown of Candy, and then Fantasy High, and then honestly, A Court of Fan Flowers slapped. I never thought that a side quest, which is what they call anything that's not the Intrepid Heroes, right. I never thought that a side quest would beat an Intrepid Heroes season, but like A Court of Fame Flowers was incredible. So that's my top 4.
Okay. Yeah, I would go Fantasy High season 1, Unsleeping City season 1.
Yeah.
Past that, I would agree. A Court of Fame Flowers is incredible. And then almost like my dark horse pick, you know, is the 7, which is just there's in my mind there's a weird comparison between like the 7 and A Court of Hidden Flowers in terms of side quests, but also so what kind of makes A Court of Hidden Flowers so great is you have on one hand you have 3 players who are not what I would describe as being sane individuals, but like normal people. And then you have Lou and Emily and Brennan who are just completely out of their minds.
Yeah, but also godlike creatures.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. And they're just delivering A+ work. Like
I think that season. Like one of the good things about A Court of Flame Flower, man, I cannot get through that sentence. One of the main things that I love about A Court of Fae and Flowers is how many intrepid heroes are on it. I think that is definitely elevates it in my mind, but also like, oh my gosh, they did PC romance. Finally, I've been waiting for years for PC romance, and they said, "Here you go on a platter," and I said, "Thank you."
Yes. But like Emily and Lou are just like completely out of their mind. Like the entire season,
100%.
They're just like on another level.
Yes.
And then with like the 7, you have just Brennan there as the game master, surrounded by 6 women who are just completely out of their minds. The most chaotic fucking people I've ever seen in my life.
I love the 7. I think that like part of the things that like everybody thought was really fun about it was that like Brennan like sort of lost control a lot of the times, and it was just like the girls screaming at each other, which was fun. But also like at a certain point, I started being like, all right, guys, are we trying to tell a story? Can we get back to the story? Yeah. But I loved the 7. I had the best time. I really like Antiope ended up being like a dark horse favorite for me for sure.
Yes.
Like I did not expect to, because she like straight up seemed like one of the least interesting ones once you like started it, just because like I'm pretty sure Antiope's human, and she just, and like, and everybody else has like something crazy cool going on, and she's just like sort of a girl who's trying her best. But Abria really brought her to life, and I really felt like at the end she like really like got elevated for me.
Yes, and like that's part of that is just like the virtue of being Abria Iyengar. But also,
I have to say that I prefer, and this might be an unpopular opinion, I prefer when Abria's playing to when she's DMing, because like I loved Antiope, and even if you are not watching Critical Role, I cannot recommend enough the like short, I believe it was only 4 episode long Critical Role like side quest that Brennan DM'd that Abria was in. Dude, when I tell you that was incredible. I literally, and I bawled my eyes out. I literally am like, I bought fan art and I framed it in my room.
Right.
From that like short campaign. I could not recommend it enough. Abria's playing, Lou is playing, and Brennan's DMing in it.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
It's called Calamity. Gotta watch it.
But like also in like the 7, you had like Erica, Ishii, and Isabella and Reika, and it's just like all just complete maniacs,
yeah.
And just
first time Izzy was on Dimension 20. So fun to see her interact with Brennan as well. Them being engaged.
Yeah, but it's just like it was almost like Brennan went out of his way to be like, okay, how can I bring 6 Emily Axfords to my table at one time? And what would happen? And so I appreciate that about it.
He's always like, Emily Axford was brought up from hell to kill me. And then he's like, can I have more? Yeah, that's so funny. Also, like, I think it was said in like an adventuring party or something that like Izzy was originally supposed to come in and play Sam. And then they were like, no, wait, she's Ostentatia. I'm like, I cannot see Izzy as anybody but Ostentatia, especially Sam.
No, and she's so good at being Ostentatia.
Yeah. And like then after watching the 7, then you get to rewatch Fantasy High, and you're just like, there's them! There's Ostentatia!
Yes. Yeah, I feel like watching Fantasy High again would like be a really rewarding experience now that I've like watched both like sophomore year and the 7.
Yeah.
I also really enjoy Misfits and Magic. I know people have had like complaints about that overall, and how like
I think that for
Brennan is.
Yeah, I think that like for me, Misfits and Magic, I wanted it to be, I wanted it to be D&D, because like I simply don't have the brain power to learn a new system, and I also think it should have been longer, which I think everybody sort of agrees. But I completely understand why it's short, because it was the very first time in which Brennan wasn't DMing. Very first time of all the seasons. It was the first time Brennan wasn't DMing, and so I understand them wanting that to be short just in case there was like a huge backlash that everybody hated, and everybody like hated on it or something.
Yeah, yeah. But like that's a super enjoyable season just because like Abria is not having anything that Brennan's trying to do. Just not having any of it. She's just like, sit down.
Yeah. But I also think that some of the other things that people were like complaining about was that Brennan was sort of like the main character, and one of the best things about like D&D and D20 is that like they're all the main characters, but Brennan was like very clearly like the main character in that one, and I think a lot of people were like, in this show of such diversity, and especially this season of such diversity in which everybody except for Brennan at the table is a person of color, why is Brennan the main character? And they've sort of like they took that constructive criticism and they've moved forward with it perfectly. Like they're like completely understood, and we will not make that same mistake again. And that's the thing that I love about them, is that they're just like they're so inclusive.
Yeah, it's not nearly the matter of like we messed up and like, oh well, but it's like we messed up and we continue to move forward.
Yes.
Like it's a thing I always really enjoyed about Lost, was like they would screw up, they'd learn, or they'd like hear from fans, or like realize internally if they screwed up and then find a way to course correct.
Yeah.
So it's always like the course correction that I find enjoyable, especially with TV. Especially as we talk about like Dimension 20 in a kind of TV aspect. So let's kind of dive into like the main seasons here. So let's start with Fantasy High.
Okay. Who's your favorite bad kid?
Oh, I mean, I have to go with Fig. Like Fig's like the obvious choice, but it's the best choice.
Yeah. You know? Yeah. I feel like, okay, so my favorite is Fabian, because I relate to him a little bit too much. And I feel like there's like a sun, moon, and rising. I think that I'm definitely a Fabian sun, and then probably a Riz, moon, and Adine rising. What about you?
Yeah. So I have to say, I would say firsthand, I don't understand. I've never been able to understand horoscope language, so I'm not going to say that.
Yeah.
So I would say Fig at the top, and then Fabian just below that. I would agree with you there. And then I don't always love Allie Beardsley as a player. Just like there's always kind of that disconnect, but Chris at Applebee's as like a gay religious trauma like Ed being played by Allie Beardsley, a non-binary person, like there's a lot there that I connect with.
Yeah, I think my thing about Kristen is I loved Kristen in season 1, and it was really fun because we were also watching Allie play their first game of D&D ever. Like Allie was still like learning at the very first. That's why Allie for almost all of the seasons is sat next to Murph. And I can't remember if it was Starstruck or if it's like, it's definitely Allie's definitely not sitting next to Murph in Never After. Oh, and not sitting. So I think I remember when the trailer came out for Starstruck, and I was like, Allie's not sitting next to Murph. Allie has finally learned how to play by themselves. They don't need Murph. So exciting. But that's why Allie is always sitting next to Murph.
Right.
And so that's why it was so fun. But anyway, so my favorite, or like my thing about Kristen, I loved Kristen in season 1. In season 2, Allie started making it like a little bit too sexual, especially for me as like an ace person as well. But I also was just like, I think we're forgetting that these kids are in high school. We need to stop with the sex jokes. Like that really threw me off in season 2. So that's my thing about Kristen. I would say that Kristen's probably on the bottom of my list because of that, just for Fantasy High.
Right. Yeah. And obviously, I'm not coming at it from that same particular lens.
For sure,
like it makes sense as like a burgeoning high school like gay person that she would like lean heavy into a newfound sexuality like that.
Right. But I'm also like, okay, but we're all adults around a table talking about this.
Right. Yeah.
And that feels weird, but yeah.
Right, that makes sense. But yeah, like Fig is just like this this season gave me Emily Oxford and particularly like Fig, and was like, oh, this is amazing.
Yeah,
this is actually amazing. Like Fig's continued shenanigans, and how like there's a certain point where I think Emily broke Brennan.
Yeah,
because like there's one season after this. I think like
are we talking about Hilda?
Definitely Hilda, but like there's a point in one of the seasons they did after this. I think it was a Crown of Candy.
Tell me what it is, and I'm hopefully
I think it's a Crown of Candy. Okay. There's a very specific moment where Emily wants it. I can't remember exactly what it was, but there's a moment in I think it's Crown of Candy where because this was I think it was filmed after sophomore year. Where Emily wants to do something, and Brennan immediately is like, no, there's no chance in hell I'm letting you do that.
Oh my gosh, yeah, that, okay, so I don't know if this is exactly what you were thinking of, but the one that I think of is when, like, Ruby's, in Crown of Candy, Ruby's, like, pet eagle, or, like, familiar hawk? I can't remember. Is like giving the help action for like a medicine check or something like that, and Emily's like, can I also have like, I don't remember, like, can I also have like advantage for whatever? And Brennan's like, so do you think that reality is being stretched too much by this hawk helping you give CPR right now? Can we, like, why are, no.
no
I'm already letting a hawk or whatever, or an eagle help you do CPR, so like, no, I'm also not gonna do that.
But yeah, you can tell like the ways that like Emily progressively just like taxes Brennan on like what he's willing and able to do, and just like his mental stability playing these games with her. Just like, oh, Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
Like definitely like what you said, like Emily is a demon sent from hell to kill him.
He said that too. Like that's
he said that. I've seen that interview. Yeah. Just the most.
And he's
perfect.
like, it's funny because he says that to Murph, like literally her husband, and he's like, like he's just agree, yes,
agree, yep, definitely. Fantasy High is almost like you say about Unsleeping City. It's almost basically a perfect season to me. Both in like terms of like how they're navigating, like kind of figuring out doing actual play D&D. Because I know Brennan and Lou have talked about how like Lou just thought they were having a fun time jumping on tables.
Yep.
And Brennan wanted to kill them.
Yeah, right. Exactly. And this is like something that I really love about, and you know, to each their own. So for example, like I went to Dimension 20 first, and my friend Jen, she like sort of came in at like a really similar time to TTRPG actual plays, but she went to Critical Role. And she went to Critical Role because she prefers the like really long episodes, the really long campaigns, and she's like a big Lord of the Rings fan, so she likes that sort of like high fantasy aspect. Whereas for me, the things that I love about Dimension 20 are that like they're shorter seasons, so we have time and space to sort of like explore lots of different stories, and you know, like that sort of thing. And I like the episodes are sort of more bite-sized too, and it's just interesting that like it's really to each his own, but like that's something that I really love about Dimension 20 is that like there's just so many different things to explore and so many different concepts too. Like Critical Role, they're doing it, and I love Critical Role. but for different reasons. They're so different, and that's why it's like hard to compare them as well. Like that's why I don't like the people who try and like pit them against each other too, because they're ultimately, yeah, they're both playing D&D, but like they're so different, and they're all friends too. Like,
right.
Lots of Critical Role people have been on Dimension 20, lots of Dimension 20 people have been on Critical Role, because we're all just, like, really good at playing D&D. And we want people to come who are good onto our shows so that our audiences can have a good time.
Right, yeah. No, it's interesting you describing Dimension 20 as being, like, the more, like, bite-sized, small one, because I remember
it really is.
talking to you about it and being like,
yeah.
Holy shit, this is so long.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing is when I'm like telling like new people about it, I'm just like, the thing is that you don't have to sit and watch this 2-hour episode in one go. If you have 25 minutes to eat dinner, you watch 25 minutes and then, babe, you pause it. You pause it and you come back to it later, you know? Like, I think that's what people think is so insurmountable about it.
Right.
But it's so worth it.
Yeah. The thing for me that made it easier to get through Dimension 20 was that I realized at a certain point, because it's not so much like a visual show, like it is sometimes. Like there's very impressive like physical sets they build, but as like they've gone away from that to being more like digital sets, which I don't care for as much.
Yeah, I'm happy that they're finally back to it.
Yeah, I'm very happy with like Never After if they're doing like actual sets with like pieces and tangible.
I know. I was really sad. It was like during the 7 and during Starstruck and stuff, and even during Unsleeping City Part 2, which was different. But yeah, that was like hard because I was like, this is not the type of thing I want. To show me the minis. So I'm really glad that we're
because like the physical sets for me is like what sets it apart.
Yeah,
you know, like there is like that care. There's actual production value put into this. Since like I kind of realized that like Dimension 20 isn't like a visual thing, and it's almost
totally podcastable.
Yeah, it's almost podcastable. I was like, oh, I can just like listen to this and play a video game at the same time because like that's
I say that I've watched Unsleeping City 3 times, but I've actually watched it twice and listened to it once. yeah.
yeah. So I could like play a video game and kind of like watch it in the background on my phone. But to get back to Fantasy High,
sure.
Yeah, just like that second episode where like they realized, oh, we can actually die in this game. We're like like what was it? Allie and Zach both die in the second episode.
You know what's crazy is that another thing that Brennan said on an adventuring party or like some sort of like interview after the fact, he said if one of them had died, they would have stayed dead. Ooh. And since both of them died, that's why I brought them both back. And I was like, that absolutely blew my mind because I was like, I cannot imagine this show without Kristen or Gorgug. I really can't. My dog's middle name is Gorgug.
Yeah, or even like the introduction of like Kristen dealing with like cosmic deity stuff.
Yeah,
you know, on like a personal, like foundational level.
I saw a tweet recently that was like, yeah, Kristen, we love Kristen for like being gay in a religious thing and like dealing with religious trauma while being gay and stuff, like, which is like a classic story. But do they get to like meet their god and then like find a new god and maybe become their own god? Like nobody's doing it that way.
Sophomore year, I feel like is a little like it's lesser than freshman year because like I think it's like emotional highs are higher, but like it's more of an imperfect season, and it's a little. I
agree.
It goes on like live. A lot of tangents and but I love Ada Eggfort. It's my
absolutely. Ida is my favorite NPC of all of Dimension 20, and that's still true. I think that like Fantasy High Season 2 is absolutely worth watching. Like you're missing out 100% if you don't watch Fantasy High Season 2. But I agree that like I went and rewatched all of the other main seasons before I like went back and rewatched Fantasy High Season 2 because like I know what happens.
But like there's great stuff in sophomore year like Emily's Hilda moment or Lou going off to fight the
yep
the pirate.
And the thing that, like, I absolutely burst into tears is the part where Riz goes and finally gets to, like, see his dad. And, like, that part, like, just meant so much to me because, like, Riz is an ace character and it wasn't made, like, super intentional until then. And then his dad had this whole, like, speech about how it was, like, okay, and you're still, like, a valid and real person. And I, like, burst into I burst into tears.
The one episode where Lou goes off on his own to fight the pirate. Is great in its chaos, but also
yeah, Lou just cannot stop laughing because he realizes what a stupid ass thing he did.
It's just stupid ass thing he did. When like Emily Hilda Axford is telling you that you should perhaps take a step back. I feel like you can take that to the bank.
Yeah, for sure. That like moment of Fabian's and then like Lou's genuine like decision to like take Fabian down a level and like think about how Fabian actually feels about that was like really cool and like totally important to like my playlist making because I like have a playlist for each member of Fantasy High and Leon Sleeping City and 2 playlists for Crown of Candy. And I just think my Fabian playlist is very good. And it's because I get to have like some like sad songs where he's having a rough time thanks to that stuff.
So right. On Sleeping City, you already said a perfect season.
100%. I think that the 3rd episode of Unsleeping City is one of the funniest things I've ever seen in my life. It's the episode where like all the pigeons come to Kingston's house. And then they all like are like, I guess we seduce these pigeons so we can go to this wedding. We need to all be +1s with these pigeons. And then Sophie gets rejected by a pigeon. It's incredible.
It's great, yeah. The thing I love about Unsleeping City that like separates it from like all the other like Intrepid Heroes seasons is that it to me feels like it's not as like strongly based in something, you know, where like Fantasy High is like a John Hughes high school movie, but we have like in a magic pastiche in a D&D setting.
Yeah.
And
Crown of Candy is Candy Game of Thrones.
Yeah, Candy Game of Thrones. Game of Thrones by way of like Adventure Time.
Yeah. Yeah. Unsleeping City is just a love letter to New York.
Yeah, it's just like what if there was magic in New York, which feels like much more of like a nebulous concept, and they're able to do more with that.
Yeah.
So like, I deeply appreciate that about that season. Just like the kind of flexibility that they're able to navigate. And yeah, like you said, a complete and utter love letter to New York and all of its messiness.
I think like my favorite bad kid, like I said, is Fabian. But Lou's best character, and that's to this day, like I love Lord Erebus. He's hilarious and wonderful. But Lou's best character is Kingston Brown.
Yes.
100 billion %.
Kingston is amazing.
Kingston's incredible. And like all of those like romantic scenes between him and his ex-wife, except his ex-wife is just played by Brennan, and I'm sitting there like, what's going on right now? Why is this so romantic?
Yes.
So Kingston's definitely up there for me, but like I said, my favorite characters of like all the Intrepid Heroes are like almost all the Unsleeping City characters. My favorite Emily Axford character is Sophie Bikes. My favorite Lou Wilson character is Kingston Brown. My favorite Zach character is Ricky. Like my favorite Siobhan character is Misty. My favorite Murph character is like half Cugrash and half Big Berry 6, I think. But then my favorite Allie character, like Pete is definitely up there for me, but my favorite Allie character is Liam from Crown of Candy, who's like my top #1 D20 PC of all time.
Right.
But I just think like those characters are all so good and they were so well rounded, and like God, I could watch like Zach nervously flirt forever. It's so adorable. Also, like, my Kingston and Ricky playlists, mwah, I'm a genius. I'm a genius. I listen to those for fun. I listen to those after I made them. They're great. If anyone wants my playlists, please get a hold of me. I'm very proud of them. I think they're all very good.
Yeah, for me, I think it's an even toss-up between Kingston and Cugrush. Because, like you said, Kingston as like a Lou character is top tier.
Oh my gosh, and especially after watching him play Fabian, like the range.
Yes.
Ugh.
There's just so much like a weird kind of nobility with Kingston Brown.
100%. He's like above everything. That scene where like he loves New York so much, and that scene where he has to choose between this kid that he just met and New York City, who he's been protecting for his entire life, basically. And he says, I choose New York City. And Allie's sitting right there, and it's their character. Oh, it's such a good moment. It's a perfect, it's so perfect.
Yep.
The scene where Sophie's on top of the Empire State Building, it's perfect. I gotta rewatch on Sleeping City, I guess. Oh, you got me.
No, there's a moment in season 2 where Kingston is talking with one of the villains, and he's just like, if you make a move, I'm gonna come after you.
Yeah.
And that's just how it is. And it's just like that kind of the powerful character.
Yeah.
Like I'm not gonna fuck around with you. I'm just gonna drop you.
And listen, I would say that I love On Sleeping City Chapter 2, but it was hard because it was all online because it was during COVID. And so that was like hard to watch because like I'm sad and I want them to all to be like together and stuff. I loved the story, but like it was harder. But I do have to say, Cody, like Murph's new character Cody, is an absolute standout of season 2 of Unsleeping City. Like, and like he's just so good. And like the whole thing with the questing blade, and like and every time he would get a nat 1, he would like almost poop his pants. Like, it was so funny. I laughed every time. He would like fall on his ass, get impaled on his own sword, and and almost shit his pants. It's funny.
Yes. Yeah.
And it was Murph, so he was always rolling nat 1s.
Yeah, the great thing about Cody is like it kind of took the page out of Zach's book of being like, I'm just gonna pick the dumbest fucking character I can imagine. And, and Murph was just like, I can do this. And he
oh my gosh, that reminds me of something that Brennan said before Starstruck Odyssey. He was like, I gave these players just the most vast world of opportunity of like characters that they could make, and they made the most busted ass characters I've ever seen in my life. They really did.
They really did.
Yeah, like I can't name one character on Starstruck where I was just like, that's a normal character.
Yeah, that's a normal person that would exist.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I appreciated like some of the like the changes in dynamics with Unsleeping City, like the end of season 1, where Brennan just had them like one-on-one.
Ugh, so good. And like I cried during those because it's just like they're asking them something and they're offering like everything that they could possibly imagine, and all of them said no separately. Oh, so good.
Yeah. No, I just saw TikTok today of the scene with Shaban's scene in that one.
Yeah.
And it's just like, oh, it's just
so
crushing.
Iconic.
I liked going from season 1 to season 2 and just like the changes in characters, and like there were actual consequences for like what happened. Like Cugrush wasn't there, like Misty kind of I appreciate that Shaban decided like Misty needs to like be shelved for like most of the season.
Yeah, you know? I definitely missed her, but it made sense.
It feels like a better plot progression than like Fantasy High sophomore year had, where like there were moments in sophomore year where I was like, we are really pushing like the complexity of the lore here, you know?
Yeah.
Like we're just piling things on top of things, like hats on hats, and it's with season 2 of Unsleeping City just felt so much like more manageable.
Yeah. I think it was nice. I think also it was partially because it wasn't live. Although I do miss the like getting to see everybody at the same time. That's something that I really like about Critical Role, which is that you can just see everybody all the time.
Right.
And so I did like that part of Fantasy High Season 2. I every time they introduce a new season and say that it's going to be an Intrepid Hero season, I am like so torn about whether I want it to be junior year or not, because like I really do feel like we need to finish the story. Like we can't just have 2 years. There's 4 years in high school. Like you got to keep going, you know. But
Right,
I also understand why they maybe don't want to keep playing high schoolers, and like it's hard because I also am just like, but I love those characters so much that like right now all of them are still alive. And if they put out a new season, if anything happens to any of them, I will lose my mind.
Yeah.
So, you know, I'm really torn. I don't know if they'll ever finish Fantasy High. I hope they do though. Yeah.
Yeah. There's almost that feeling with like it being the first campaign they did that like if they finished it, it would almost be like Dimension 20 being finished, you know?
Right. That is fair. And that's another thing that I really liked about season 2 of Unsleeping City is that like they didn't necessarily say it was the end, but like the ending was so endingy that I was like, I do not want any more.
Yeah.
Do not do any more. We're good.
Yeah. Like I saw one theory online that was like a season 3 would be Kingston dying. Like
no!
A theoretical season 3 would be Kingston dying and trying to find a new Vox Populi. And it's like, I don't think
I don't want that.
I can't do that.
Yeah,
like, I'm just not emotionally prepared for that.
Right. Well, that's the thing is that like that could maybe like segue us a little bit into Crown of Candy, which is the first season with where they killed off PCs.
Yeah.
I mean, other than like the end of the season, but like mid-season killing off the PCs.
Yeah, I was tweeting you while I was watching that season. I was like, this show has hurt me.
Yep.
Irreparably and in ways I didn't know was possible.
Right. But like that's another thing is that's just like, okay, but even though we're all sad and we're crying around this table, like I said, we all consented to be here and we all want to like tell a good story, and it means that we did a good job if we're all having an emotional reaction to it, you know? So it's like I'm sad, but I'm also like I feel like a sense of community with all the people who are also sad about it, you know?
Yeah. I always feel like if I react viscerally to like something I'm watching, like I have like an actual emotional reaction. I was like, this was a good TV show I watched. Like,
yeah,
one
of the
like I said, I watch like 70 plus TV shows a year. Crown of Candy affected me deeper than most of those that I watched.
Right, and it's because we have them for so long, you know, and it's like I'm watching 30 hours and it's like 30 episodes of television, you know? A season being 30 episodes long. Because that's how long I have them for.
Yeah.
And you also, like, you love them because you love the player, too. One of the things, I can't remember if Brennan said this, but he probably did, but, like, I don't know, maybe this is my own opinion, I can't remember, but it's like, I get to know somebody, like a player, by watching them play better than I would get to know them just like talking to them.
Right.
You know, like there are some people who have only been on Dimension 21. So for example, Mice and Murder was the first season that I watched live, like as it was airing, and it was the only time that Grant and Sam Reich and especially Grant and Sam Reich were on it. Were like have ever been on Dimension 20, and they were both so good, and I understand them both more as people than I ever would have just watching Game Changer or just watching like Grant on other things on and like Dirty Laundry and stuff like that, which is 2 other Dropout shows. Like I recommend Mice and Murder because like Sam and Reika and Allie and Grant absolutely make that season for me. It was very good, I think. But I mean, I could be biased, but no, I'm pretty sure it's good.
There's so much in like a Crown of Candy that like deeply affects me. Like that I find like not relatable, but there's so much like inherent in there, like Ruby losing Jet, and like I have two sisters myself. If either one of them died or anything happened to them, like I would be irreparably changed, you know? So like seeing her go through the grieving process and like the back half of that season is crushing.
Yeah.
Like I don't know the person I'd be if my sisters weren't here, you know?
Yeah. One of the things that I think is so interesting about Crown of Candy is like how clear it is that like I think it's quite clear that Lepan wasn't supposed to necessarily die, but Jet was always going to die. Because Cumulus shows up and he's like, "Hi, I'm Cumulus," and Cumulus do be hanging out. But Saccharina comes in, and you can tell also by the way that Brennan kills Jet by it being like, "Now you're poisoned. Now you're rolling with disadvantage for your death saves." Like literally, Jet was going to die. Brennan was going to kill Jet to bring in Saccharina because Saccharina was so important to the plot and added so much to the show. But clearly Emily didn't know that, which I think is like was the proper move to make.
Yes.
Like I look at everybody else's backup characters and like I don't know, I feel like Allie's could have been really important too, but like if Liam died, I would have also died. So I'm glad that didn't happen, but like it hurt so bad when Jet died, but I'm glad that it happened for the story because Saccharina brought so much.
Yeah, and Saccharina feels so essential.
Yeah, 100%. The thing is that like Saccharina got a lot of hate at the time, I guess. I mean, I wasn't watching live at that time, but I guess like I'm just like, God, can we not just have like a strong female character? Like who do you think you're watching? It's Emily Axford. Why are we doing this? Yeah. She's also like Saccharina's amazing. Everyone's just like, she's mean, and I'm like, well, have you seen her backstory?
She's had a mean life.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's also like Emily at her like almost like Emily at her most stable, you know? Like she's not doing a lot of like she's not doing a Hilda in the season, you know?
Oh, 100%. Like
it's just she's very just like controlled, where like
that's what I love about,
she's just like off the rails.
I love that about Crown of Candy. It's like everybody's like taking it a little bit more seriously.
Yeah,
but still making their goofy jokes, you know.
Yeah, because it feels like in every moment they know that if they slip up even a little bit, Brennan will nail them to the wall.
Yeah.
So like there's that added level of like danger in every table. But like beyond that, like what we get of like Queen Caramelinda's story of like her like what was it, her fiance, I can't remember if she was already married or was going to be married to
that's a good question. I think they were married.
Yeah, but
let me look it up, but you keep talking
for the sake of argument. Like her wife dying and then having to like marry her brother-in-law.
Oh my gosh, and that part where she's like, "This is just politics." I'm like, "Oh, ouch."
Yeah. And like marrying someone who would like continuously be a reminder of like the thing you lost, like
she was married to Lazuli. She was.
Okay, yeah. But like that's crushing. Like that's that's deeply hurtful.
Oh my god, yeah, her little brother, she's like, ugh. And he's so bad at being a king too.
Yeah, he has no interest in being a king. No one has cared less about ruling.
I think it's so funny that Lou is the himbo of the season when Zach is the himbo of all himbos.
Yes.
Like he always plays the himbo. Always. I think that like he's not really playing a himbo in Never After, which I didn't really notice. But I think it was so funny that in Starstruck, like he showed up and we were like, "Whoa, no himbo," and then he was like, "Surprise, himbo!" And I was like, "Yeah, I should have seen that coming."
Yeah. The one thing I have about Crown of Candy is that in every season, this is inherent to Dimension 20 as a whole. Brennan is working in a very like anti-capitalist, systemic realm. Like there's a moment where Allie goes, the thing I appreciate about you, Brennan, is that we're always going after the church.
Yep. And Brennan's like, oh, you noticed.
Yeah, so it's always like that. It's always like going after capitalism, going after the systems in play. But the weird thing about Crown of Candy that is inescapable is that it's a indictment upon like the monarchy and a critique of that. Yeah. But at the end of the day, it has to play into the monarchy. You know, it still has to exist within that framework. You know, so as much as like Brennan would like to like lambast it, he still has to live in it at the end of the day. Which I feel like it's a weird, like it's a weird path to walk. Of both like having your cake and eating it too.
Yeah.
But like I said, there's no way
having
to
your
really
cake.
avoid that.
Boo.
That's you. Oh.
I'm mad at him.
And then with Starstruck Odyssey.
Yeah.
Not Star Trek Odyssey.
Correct.
That's probably my least favorite. I haven't seen how Never After. Reserving judgment overall for Never After. Right. But it's probably my least favorite. It has some of the best roles that like Dimension 20 has had.
Right, like some iconic moments for sure.
Yeah, like the
Nat 20.
Yeah, or like the gambling the episode where they're the gladiator episode or whatever it was. Like the tournament.
Yeah.
Where like not just Emily but Allie trick Brennan into letting them have like these magnificent roles.
Yeah.
And it's amazing.
I actually fully agree with you on like it being like on the lower side of Intrepid Heroes seasons. And that's because like it was so fun too because it was like space western and you know he obviously Brennan is very passionate about it because it's his mother's story.
Right.
But I felt like it just didn't have the same heart as the previous seasons. Like it was just all sort of like goofy goofs and there wasn't enough like moments of seriousness and there weren't like enough stakes for me, I feel like.
No, yeah. And like
the characters were really fun though, and like Sundry, Sydney, and Barry, like I was like, why aren't they in love? Like why are you gonna put Emily and Murph next to each other and you know they're already married and like why aren't they just together? That made me mad because I was like, PC romance, come on! And then Court of Fae and Flowers was like, here you go, and I was like, okay, thank you. I have been so hungry forever. But yeah, so I definitely agree about Starstruck.
Yeah, and it's weird. Like the final, like the last like villain they deal with is like this military guy that was like barely tangential to the plot. You know?
Right. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. It's just like it felt like it was a season of goofs, and I was like, but where's the heart? It wasn't deep enough for me. Definitely was fun, but
yeah, the idea was that it was fun.
yeah. Never After for me so far has not cracked any of the like top seasons, and maybe that's because of nostalgia. It's been only 2 years, but still, like it, you know. Right. But I also like it's been really complicated so far too. It feels like a little bit unnecessarily complicated for me so far.
Right. Yeah. I don't know how much like because Brennan has called this repeatedly like the horror season.
Yeah.
And I don't know how well that works within like Dimension 20 as a like like a comedy actual play show, you know?
Right. Yeah.
And it's had like good moments of comedy. It's been deeply terrifying at times. Like the first episode of Shaban like taking the thorns out of her mouth, like deeply unpleasant. Like I had a tweet that that talked about this when I watched the first episode of like everyone's deeply like viscerally unnerved by this, and Emily is just like having the time of her life.
Yeah. Well, yeah. How's your who's your favorite in Never After so far? And and Starstruck. Who are your favorites in Starstruck?
Oh, Starstruck. Oof.
For me, it's like Emily has never missed.
No,
me,
Emily does not. Emily consistently does not miss.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'd say with Starstruck, it's probably Skip. Like just like the kind of weirdness of Skip.
Yeah,
I appreciate that.
I think that the thing that's funny about Skip is that Zach, like committed to doing that goofy voice, and then like 2 episodes later was like, I regret it. And it's funny because now Lou is playing Pinocchio, and he's just like, nope, we're doing the funny voice. We're doing it.
Yes. Yeah. Probably Never After. A recent episode of Never After really cemented Pinocchio as like the best character because like it really dug into like, and I'm sure this is like what like Lou said, like it was the reason why he picked the character of like really digging into like the like racial subtext of Pinocchio of like why is everyone else allowed to like screw up and like tell a lie and like be imperfect and I have to be like this shining symbol of virtue.
Yeah. Right. I like when I saw the characters and saw the trailer, I knew that I was like, oh yeah, Emily's gonna knock it out of the park again. I'm definitely gonna like love Emily's character. Like 1 or 2 episodes in, I was just like, you know who really slaps? Gerard. Gerard's really doing it for me. I love him. I think he's so funny.
They're like 2 big moments of Dimension of Never After like really stand out to me so far. The first one being when they all meet the stepmother. And Brennan has that line of like you're looking at something that like you're not supposed to be looking at. You're looking at like what was it? The devil, the smile of a devil that you never believed in.
Yeah.
And Lou's just like, no.
Whoa. Jeez.
No.
Yeah.
I think what did he say? Like that's the hardest shit I've ever heard in my life.
Yeah, exactly. Well, that's another thing is that just like I am watching them play this game, but like I'm seeing it all in my head. Like Brennan explains it, and everybody else is explaining what their characters are doing, and I'm creating it myself. That's the thing that kills me though, is that it's just like after like Vox Machina and like now they're doing Mighty 9 as well. I'm just like Dimension 20 animated series, please. Like I get to see like, you know, they post those like little animated scenes or whatever, but I'm just like the fact that like I have to watch Kingston and Liz have the most romantic scene of all time and like I don't get to see them kiss. What? Like that's not fair. It's not fair.
Yes.
I'm mad. I'm mad about it. Still. I love that scene.
Absolutely.
Still thinking about it. I don't think like I think that like I liked Lou. I mean, obviously he was my like Fabian was my favorite. So I watched Fantasy High season 1 and 2, and then I watched Crown of Candy, and then I watched Unsleeping City season 1 and 2 because I had watched Fantasy High both seasons, and then I was like, I definitely know that I want to watch Crown of Candy, and it only has 1 season, so I'll do that one first to get it like over with, so I don't have to wait 2 seasons to watch Crown of Candy. But like, so I didn't have like my celebrity crush on Lou until literally that scene near the end of season 1 of Unsleeping City, and then I was just like, whoa, what's going on here?
Yes.
Like it took that long. And then I was like, oh, hold on, whoa.
So like the second big moment of this that like I really love is the scene where they meet up with Aesop. And Pib sees the what was it, like the donkey?
Ambrose or whatever his name is,
Yeah, Ambrose.
Yeah.
And just like confronts
like, where were you, dude?
Yeah. Where'd you go? We all fucking died.
Yeah.
Just It's so good.
Yeah. What's interesting is that, like, so what did you think? I don't know if you were caught up at this time, but, like, so when they did the TPK, is the very first TPK in Dimension 20 history, and there was a lot of rumor going around because, like, they didn't have a trailer at the end of the episode either. And so some people were like, they're just going to bring him back to life and, like, they figured it out or whatever. I was convinced that these were not their characters for the season.
Oh.
And that they had a whole other group of characters that they were coming into play who were the actual main characters of the season. And that these people, like, we just did, like, a flashback, basically. And, like, this was, like, important 100 years ago. Or something like that. Like, I was convinced. This is still cool, but I also think my idea would have been really dope.
No, I hadn't watched it, so I watched... What happened was I watched the first episode of Never After when it aired. And I was like, this is a bit much. So I'm going to set this aside for a little while. I'm going to watch the other stuff. And then I'm going to come back to it. So I watched, like, the rest of Never After, like, a week or two ago. Like, within, like, the last few days, I think.
Yeah.
So I heard about the TPK on TikTok, I think. And I was like, oh.
And all of this is your prerogative because there's so much content, you can do these things.
Right, yes, yeah. But yeah, so I heard about the TPK and I was like, oh, that's really interesting.
Yeah.
But like as like a lot of other people have said, like, Brennan was always going to kill them because, like, he said, like, the furniture would just, like, keep on coming back to life if they
right, which is kind of like how when he killed Jet, it's just like, it's inevitable.
Yes.
The dice are not on your side at that point.
Yeah. For me, it felt like Infinity War, where it's like, if you had killed a few people, then I might believe it, but since, like, you killed all, if not, like, most of these people, they're probably coming back.
Yeah. What is your theory on these Mancala pieces? What's Brennan gonna do with those?
I have no idea.
Me neither. I literally don't know. I, like, wonder... No, it doesn't really make sense. But I thought it would be interesting if maybe, like, you know how you have those, like, little hearts in the top left corner of a video game? Like, I was like, maybe there's gonna be, like, such a hard fight later that you have, like, that many lives or something. I don't know. I don't even know.
Right. I mean, that would definitely be interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a weird season overall because, like, it's Never After is trying to, like, reconcile, like, the many differences in, like, fairy tale stories. Like, just, like, the many variances and how they've changed over time.
Yeah. You know what? You're a genius. You totally hit the nail on the head when you said that, like, Unsleeping City wasn't trying to be anything else. And I think that's what I'm waiting for. Like, I'm waiting for an Intrepid Hero season to hit the caliber of those first 3 seasons that they did. And, like, I'm just like, where are they? Because, Starstruck is, like, a whole thing about Starstruck, and, you know, Never After I'm just watching for, like, the references to other things and stuff, and I'm just like, we just need a whole new thing, which is why I'm so excited about Brennan, Lou, Abria, and Erica's new, like, podcast thing that they're doing. I immediately joined the Patreon. It was the fastest Patreon sell of my life. And as of this recording, there are 2, like, episodes up on Patreon so far, like 2, like, preview episodes, and they've been so good. I'm so excited about it.
But yeah, you're right. Like, they're keep on trying to do, like, these twists on a story or, like, a something very large conceptually.
Yeah.
You know, like a Star Trek Odyssey, like, oh, we're gonna be like this big like space opera thing, or like something akin to a more socially progressive Firefly, or you know, with Never After being a horror fairy tale story that is so firmly rooted in fairy tale characters and lore. And even A Crown of Candy is as good as that season is. It's still like I said, Game of Thrones by way of Adventure Time. So
yeah, a lot of it was like so original though. Like that's why like the characters are all original, the story, like the map is original and everything. I'm just waiting for us to do some more like original stuff, I guess.
Right,
like,
yeah,
even
something
Fantasy
more
High.
in the vein of like A Court of Fame Flowers.
Yeah, like its own brand new thing.
Yeah, because
but like still high genre because that's what they're good at. But like that's what they're known for. But
yeah, because what makes A Court of Fame Flowers so good is that like it was such a broad idea.
Yeah,
let's just bring like these high fae in for a Bridgerton story.
Yeah. So freaking fun. I'm running one that's similar to that very soon, and I'm so excited.
So how much D&D have you done?
So before I started watching Dimension 20, I played a Star Trek simplified one. I literally, like Brittany and Sam, my former roommates / very best friends, were like playing with a group of friends during the pandemic, and I had always wanted to play, and so I was like, hello, can I please like watch you guys play? And then eventually I was like, hello, can I please play? And they like let me in. Me not knowing anything about Star Trek, I was just like, hey, hope this works. I don't know. So that was like a simplified version of it, so it didn't have like the giant list of like acrobatics and sleight of hand and all these, like it was simplified.
Right.
But I had such a good time. And so then after that I sort of like ran my own thing, but it was also like a simplified version, so I didn't really understand how to like properly play until I watched Dimension 20. And then I've run one campaign since then, and I'm trying to wrap it up because I have like another idea that I would like to move on to. And I've played in like I want to say 3 or 4 campaigns. What I think is really interesting is that like I played a droid in a Star Trek or a Star Wars game, and then Emily Axford was like, I'm playing Sundry Sydney, who is like basically a droid. And then in one of my other campaigns, I'm playing a sorcerer she's 30 years old, but she got cursed, and she's in the body of an 8-year-old, and she's been in the body of an 8-year-old for over 20 years. And now Emily Axford is playing a child in Never After, and I'm just like, there's no way you would have known about this, but I think it's a bit suspicious.
Get out of my head, Axford.
Yeah. But also, I'm like, every time this happens, I'm so flattered because I'm just like, yeah, do you think I have good ideas for my characters? Me? Okay. So yeah, that's how much I've played.
Okay.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah. Like I said, I've never played D&D, and I mean, I wouldn't not play D&D, but the opportunity probably won't rise up.
I think that it will
said,
eventually, like, here's the thing, is that I have, like, multiple campaigns that I'm, like, prepared for and already have players for, but next time I'm, like, preparing one, I might hit you up.
Maybe.
If you want to play.
Okay. Yeah.
Is it going to be, like, a couple years? Yeah, but I'll keep you in mind.
Coolio. Yeah, that all being said, I bought, like, 2 sets of dice.
Yeah. Oh, you gotta have them. Even if you're not
dice.
Gonna use them, they're also like fun if you're like in between, like waffling between 2 things you should do, and then you can roll the dice and just like see, and it makes a decision for you, or it's just decor because they're beautiful.
Yes.
Yeah.
No, I used it on the podcast a couple weeks ago to decide a goat pick. So it's like, yeah.
I used to use it like I'm at a whole list of Disney Channel shows that I could watch on Disney Plus, and then I would roll the dice to decide what show I would watch, so that it felt like when I was younger, and it was just like whatever was coming on to Disney Channel next. I did that a little bit for a while.
Yeah. No, I saw that adventuring party episode with Brennan and Lou. And Lou being like, you only need 1 set of dice. I was like, fuck you,
I
Lou.
know.
I don't even play D&D, and I have 2 sets of dice.
That was that sure was a polarizing time for the fandom. Yeah. So what do you think? What season are you gonna watch next? I do have a recommendation if you haven't made up your mind yet.
Probably go back to the beginning and watch Escape from
the Bloodkeep. Yeah.
Escape from the Bloodkeep.
Nice.
What's your suggestion?
My suggestion is to watch Calamity, the Critical Role like little 4-shot that Brennan did. It was literally peak storytelling. It was amazing. It literally blew my mind. Like I said, I bought fan art and I framed it in my room of like literally a 4-episode thing. It was amazing.
Nice. Yeah, I'm definitely gonna check that out. I'm still like I'm debating whether or not I want to watch Critical Role.
Yeah, it is a far bigger commitment than Dimension 20 is. 100%. Like
yes,
the hundreds of episodes, and like not even like in the same season there are some seasons that have over 100 episodes, and they're all like 4 hours long.
Right.
It is a lot, but it's pretty fun, and I like the people who are on it.
Yeah, and it's also like, do I need to watch it while I'm also watching Legend of Vox Machina? Probably not.
Right. Yeah. And like also, just FYI, like Calamity is its own standalone thing, so you wouldn't even need to have seen it, which is why I'm recommending it to everyone, because it was amazing.
Right. Yes.
Like Brennan really paints a picture, and it is rough. Like I think it's funny because like Brennan showed up, and like I feel like Travis in particular, who's like one of the Critical Role guys, like showed up and was like, "Hey, this is the guy from the Goofy Funny seasons." And then Brennan immediately was like, "Everyone's dead and everyone's dying and everything is terrible." And Travis like literally sitting there like, what is happening right now?" It's so good. They're like, "I thought this was the Goofy Funny haha guy." Brennan's like, "No, everything is hell.
Everything sucks."
You're like, "Okay." So good.
Yeah, that's what I love about Brennan. Like, he lulls you into that complacency, and he's just like, now I'm gonna slap the shit out of you. He's very good.
But everyone's still having fun, and that's what's important, you know? Ugh. Yeah. So good. Yes. I've been hyperfixated for 2 years. I don't see an end. I really don't.
No, yeah. As long as they keep on going, like, do you feel like they can go indefinitely?
I think they can, because even if Brennan stops wanting to do this, which I don't see, because he's been doing it for his entire life, even if Brennan decides not to, like, we can get more people, and that's the thing, is that like if certain people in Critical Role decided not to do it anymore, then like you've lost Critical Role. But Dimension 20 is constantly having this sort of, I worry every moment of my life that one of the Intrepid Heroes wants to like step off at some point. But I think that even if Brennan stepped away, we could get like somebody else, like a Bria or something, to do that, and then we start introducing more people who then we will then fall in love with, so that we can continue that forward. Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense. So let's talk about the rest of Dropout for a second.
Okay.
Some of their other shows. So firstly, Game Changer.
Yes.
And I've watched some of the TikToks that they've done, and
yep.
So some of the times where Brennan has been on and he has just lost his ever-loving mind. Like the one where Brennan cannot win.
Yep.
Where
That's a good one.
Sam just makes it his goal to punish Brennan in whatever way he sees fit.
Or the early seasons were really good. I think that post-pandemic, these past, like, I think 2 seasons have been, like, God tier.
Right.
So good. The finale of the previous season was a 2-part Survivor episode where they literally just played Survivor, and then the last episode that just came out of this season was called Bachelor Part 1, and they're playing The Bachelor, and I'm like, oh man, does that mean it's the season finale? But also, does that mean we're doing this every season? Where we do a different reality show? Because this is awesome! Having to wait the 2 weeks in between is the part that's just the absolute worst, though.
Right. No, I saw one from a recent episode where
This is the bird one?
The bird one, yes.
Yeah.
The bird one, and you can just see Brennan like progressively going out of his mind.
Yeah, his face just drops when he sees his bird that he's supposed to name.
I think he has a moment of just penguin? That's it? Only penguin.
I know, and then the part where he's just like, that's a chicken again. That's just a second chicken.
Or the one with, Times New Roman fights Comic Sans or something.
Yeah. Make some noise.
Yes. Very good.
Yeah.
No, I think there was a recent one with Izzy and
Erica.
Yeah, Izzy and Erica.
Becca.
Yes, that was just very good.
Yeah. So good. Like I said, I pay them $60 a year, and it is worth significantly more money to me. It really is. It makes me so happy. I watch every single thing that comes out.
Yeah. And yeah, everything with Adventuring Party is very good. We mentioned it, but the one that Brennan did with Lou recently of the you only need one set of dice, which is fuck you, Lou. And also Brennan. I think Lou tricks Brennan almost into going into this diatribe about birds.
Yep.
And Lou just goes,
and did you watch that whole episode?
No, I didn't watch. I just watched.
Okay, I think that the back 45 minutes of that is my happy place and my comfort thing now. It truly is just them laughing with each other, and I'm just it just makes me so happy. They put on those makeup masks or the face masks, and then they spend a bunch of time just wearing them. And then laughing at each other. It's so cute. It's adorable. They're just best friends.
Yeah. Yeah. No, so I've just seen the snippets on TikTok, and this is very good. Very, very good.
There was this one clip. I don't think I ever watched the full episode, but I saw it on TikTok of this one clip where they were talking about maybe potentially doing a fairy tale season. This was years ago.
Right.
And I can't remember what Siobhan said that she wanted to do, but Lou, who meant to say, I think, Rumpelstiltskin, said that he wanted to be Rip Van Winkle. And then Brennan was just like, nope, you said it. And Lou was like, I want to take it back. And he's like, nope, you're going to be asleep the whole time. You're going to be a sleepy guy, just sleeping the whole time, and I'll play Rumpelstiltskin. And now I'm sitting here where's Rip Van Winkle? Where's Rumpelstiltskin? Hello? I was promised something.
Right, yes. I did think during the, I think it was Misfits and Magic, where I was watching and I was like, if Siobhan was here, she would have a fucking field day with this.
Oh yeah, for sure.
I think I had the same thought with A Court of Fate and Flowers. So just Siobhan, just to circle back real quick. Siobhan's really good at just deconstructing something ridiculous and being like, no, you're a fucking idiot. I really.
Oh my gosh! Now you've got me thinking about what the different Intrepid heroes would have done in A Court of Fate and Flowers. It's so funny because Brennan clearly just made the Murph character. Murph would have played Hob 100 billion%. That's just the Murph character. And I think Brennan said that in an after show. At some point he was just like, I just took the Murph approach. But just to think about what Zach or Allie would have done, it's crazy.
Zach would have chosen the dumbest fucking goblin.
Oh, 100 billion%. Yeah. Or Zach would have played Prince Apollo.
Yes.
Yeah. Or Zach would have played Jeremy Renner.
Oh God. He would have.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. No. He would have.
Yeah.
Oh. I'm trying to think of what other places I want to take this.
I think we've gone to most of it.
Yeah, I think we've covered it pretty well.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll just do some final thoughts, I guess.
Okay.
You go first.
Final thoughts. I have gained endless serotonin from this, and I am just so happy to have discovered it and happy to have been able to sort of like influence and bring other people into it through like my love for it. And I think one of my main like goals in life and like passions in life is storytelling, and finding this new way of storytelling, of collaborative storytelling, of a way to tell a story through like working with each other and like also random and also like improvisation. It's so cool, and it like has elevated a lot of my relationships, and I'm just so happy, and I love this show so much. And Lou Wilson, if you're free, call me. Brennan, unfortunately, I know that you're engaged, but Lou, I never see a finger or a ring on that finger. Please call me. You don't post about anybody, just let me know.
Just an open offer.
Yeah, 100 billion%. Which I think I've said multiple times today, but I feel it.
I don't. Yeah, I'm sure you have.
Yeah.
Not even here. I'm sure you just said it like randomly on the street.
Yeah. What about you? What are your final thoughts?
My thoughts are that yeah, I really love this. Sometimes it's just about like finding the comfort thing you like. But also that his deeply like just really good storytelling overall. You know, the thing that you want to continuously go back to.
Yeah.
So like I appreciate something that I don't necessarily have to watch. Like there's so much stuff that like I quote unquote have to watch. And this is not that. This is just something that I deeply enjoy watching.
Yeah.
You know?
And also knowing that it's made by people who are good people and who care.
Yes.
Is like so great. Also, I was just thinking about how like there is hardly any asexual representation on television in media, hardly at all. And there are 3 different canonically ace characters on Dimension 20, one of which says the word out loud. So like it just makes me so happy to know that like they care about their audience and they're good people.
Yes.
Because you can't say that about everybody who makes the media that you watch, you know?
Yes.
You really can't.
Yeah. Like off the top of my head, I can think of like one ace character on TV that I've seen in like the last year.
Right.
And literally none other come to mind.
Yeah.
It was Legends of Tomorrow, and that's pretty much it. Yeah. So like that's just the sense of inclusion, sense of diversity. Like it's a very impressive show, just all the way around.
Yeah.
So that's Dimension 20 on Dropout TV.
Yes. If we haven't given you too many spoilers, check it out.
I assume if you're listening to this episode, you have already watched Dimension 20 in some,
at least some of it. Yeah.
Yeah, in some kind of
I would hope so.
significant manner.
Yeah. But if you want my playlists, hit me up. You can follow me at Robyn E. Jeffrey, ROBYNEJFFREY, pretty much everywhere. Oh, and if you want to hear me talking some more about other TV shows, check out The Afictionados. You can find us on Twitter at The Afictionados, so the and then AFICTIONADOS, or just Google us or search us on your favorite podcast app.
Who said that Robyn Jeffrey can't spell?
Right. No one.
No one. And
I don't remember hearing that.
And you can follow me on Twitter and TikTok at the Drew Koenig on Twitter and Drew_Koenig on TikTok. I forgot for a second that they're different usernames. And you can find my writing at substack.drewkoenig.com. And you can find the podcast on Twitter and TikTok at Not Another TV Pod. And you can email us at notanothertvpodcast@gmail.com with any thoughts, comments, questions, goat submissions, TV recommendations that you have. And you can find more of our episodes on Apple Podcasts, Google, iHeartRadio, Stitcher, and on YouTube. Like, subscribe, share us wherever you want. Don't let me tell you how to live your life. Until next week, we will see you all around.